Beowulf, Part 11. Then Hrothgar went his way with his band of heroes, the protector of Skeldings, out of the hall. The warlike king was minded to seek Wealhtheow, the queen, for his bedfellow. The glorious king had, as men learned, set a hall guardian against Grendel. He performed a special service for the prince of the Danes, kept watch against monsters. Truly, the prince of the Geats relied firmly on his fearless might and the grace of the Lord. Then he laid aside his iron corselet, the helmet from his head, gave his ornamented sword, best of blades, to his servant, and bade him keep his war gear. Then the valiant one, Beowulf of the Geats, spoke some words of boasting ere he lay down on his bed. I do not count myself less in war strength, in battle deeds, than Grendel does himself. Wherefore I will not slay him, spoil him of life by sword, although I might. He knows not the use of weapons so as to strike at me, hew my shield, though he might be mighty in works of malice. But we too shall do without swords in the night, if he dare to seek war without weapons, and afterwards the wise God, the Holy Lord, shall award fame to whatever side seems good to him. The bold warrior lay down, the earl's face touched the bolster, and round him many a mighty sea hero bent to his couch in the hall. None of them thought that he should go thence and seek again the loved land, the people or stronghold where he was fostered. But they had heard that murderous death had ere now carried off far too many of Danish people in the wine hall. But the Lord gave them success in war, support and succor to the men of the Veters, so that through the strength of one, his own might, they all overcame their foe. The truth has been made known, that mighty God has ever ruled over mankind. The shadowy visitant came stalking in the dark night. The warriors slept who were to keep the antlered building, all save one. That was known to men that the ghostly enemy might not sweep them off among the shadows, for the Lord willed it not. But he, watching in anger against foes, awaited in wrathful mood the issue of the battle. Part 12. Then from the moor under the misty cliffs came Grendel. He bore God's anger. The foul foe purposed to trap with cunning one of the men in the high hall. He went under the clouds till he might see most clearly the wine building, the gold hall of warriors gleaming with plates of gold. That was not the first time he had sought Hrothgar's home. Never in his life days before or since did he find bolder heroes and hall thanes. The creature came, bereft of joys, making his way to the building. Straightway the door, firm clasped by fire-hardened fetters, opened when he touched it with his hands. Then, pondering evil, he tore open the entry of the hall when he was enraged. Quickly, after the fiend trod the gleaming floor, moved anger and mood, a baleful light like flame flared from his eyes. He saw in the building many heroes, the troop of kinsmen sleeping together, the band of young warriors. Then his mind exulted. The dread monster purposed ere day came to part the life of each one from the body, for the hope of a great feasting filled him. He no longer did fate will that after that night he might seize more of mankind. The kinsmen of Hygelac, exceedingly strong, beheld how the foul foe was minded to act with his sudden grips. Nor did the monster think to delay, but first he quickly seized a sleeping warrior, suddenly tore him asunder, devoured his body, drank the blood from his veins, swallowed him with large bites. Straightway he had consumed all the body, even the feet and hands. He stepped forward nearer, laid hold with his hands of the resolute warrior on his couch. The fiend stretched his hand toward him. Beowulf met the attack quickly and propped himself on his arm. Forthwith, the upholder of crime found that he had not met in the world, on the face of the earth, among other men, a mightier hand grip. Fear grew in his mind and heart, yet in spite of that, he could not make off. He sought to move out. He was minded to flee to his refuge, to seek the troops of devils. His task there was not such as he had found in former days. Then the brave kinsman of Hygelac remembered his speech in the evening. He stood upright and seized him firmly. The fingers burst. The monster was moving out. The earl stepped forward. The famous one purposed to flee further, if only he might, and went away thence to the fen strongholds. He knew the might of his fingers was in the grip of his foe. That was an ill journey when the ravager came to Heorot. The warriors' hall resounded. Terror fell on all the Danes, on the castle dwellers, and on each of the bold men, on the earls. Wroth were they both, angry contestants for the house. The building rang aloud. Then was it great wonder that the wine hall withstood the bold fighters, that it fell not to the ground, the fair earth dwelling, but it was too firmly braced within and without with iron bands of skilled workmanship. There many a mead bench decked with gold bent away from the post, as I have heard, where the foemen fought. The wise men of the Scyldings looked not for that before, that any man could ever shatter it, rend it with malice in any way, excellent and bone adorned as it was, unless the embrace of fire could swallow it in smoke. A sound arose, passing strange. Dread fear came upon each of the North Danes who heard the cry from the wall. The lament of God's foe rise, the song of defeat, the hell-bound creature crying out in his pain. He who was strongest in might among men at that time held him too closely. Part 13. The protector of earls was minded in no wise to release the deadly visitant alive, nor did he count his life as useful to any man. There most eagerly this one and that of Beowulf's men brandished old swords, wished to save their leader's life, the famous prince, if only they could. They did not know when they were in the midst of the struggle, the stern warriors, and wished to strike at all sides, how to seek Grendel's life. No choicest of swords on the earth, no war spear could pierce the evil monster. But Beowulf had given up victorious weapons, all swords. His parting from life at that time was doomed to be wretched, and the alien spirit was to travel far into the power of the fiends. Then he who before in the joy of his heart had wrought much malice on mankind, he was hostile to God, found that his body would not follow him, for the brave kinsman of Hygelac held him by the hand. Each was hateful to the other while he lived. The foul monster suffered pain in his body. A great wound was seen in his shoulder. The sinews sprang apart. The body burst open. Fame in war was granted to Beowulf. Grendel must needs flee thence under the fen cliffs, mortally wounded, seek out his joyless dwelling. He knew but too well the end of his life was come, the full count of his days. The desire of all the Danes was fulfilled after the storm battle. Then he, who erstwhile came from afar, shrewd and staunch, had cleansed the hall of Hrothgar, freed it from battle. He rejoiced in the night work and heroic deeds. The prince of the Geat warriors had fulfilled his boast to the East Danes. Likewise, he cured all their sorrows, sufferings from malice foes, which they endured before and were forced to bear in distress, no slight wrong. That was a clear token when the bold warrior laid down the hand, the arm, and shoulder under the wide roof. It was all there together, the claw of Grendel. And we'll go on with part 14 in the next video. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you guys. I love you, as Tigger says. Ta ta for now.